Now to the Israel-Hamas war. We have a rare look inside the war zone. Our chief foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell, embedded with Israeli troops in Gaza for the first time since the conflict broke out. Good morning to you, Ian.
Yeah, good morning, Robin. That's right. I mean, overnight we saw one of the heaviest bombardments yet throughout this more than 4-week war in Gaza. And meanwhile, as you say, we've got a chance, a very first chance, to see for ourselves what it looks like inside Gaza.
Overnight, an extraordinary humanitarian airdrop into the heart of the battle zone in Gaza. Jordan parachuting tons of medical aid onto a field hospital in Gaza City because of delays at the land border, according to King Abdullah. It comes as Israel intensifies its strikes on Gaza, massive bombardment overnight. As Israeli defense forces say they've now cut Gaza in half and are surrounding Gaza City. The IDF releasing these videos saying they've taken control of a Hamas compound and struck several Hamas targets. And for the first time since October 7th, we were taken into Gaza to see the war firsthand, embedding with a heavily armored Israeli military convoy. Our footage was checked by the IDF for operational security.
It's not clear what just happened. We heard the sound of an explosion. I could see flames on the side. It could have been an IED, a roadside bomb.
We were driven about 3 miles across the border to the northern side of Gaza City. I asked the deputy commander how dangerous it was.
Danger is everywhere.
Right.
The most dangerous thing is not seeing that danger. The ones that are still alive are dug down in the tunnels.
Right.
So there's no place that I can say, okay, it's clear from enemy.
It's an apocalyptic landscape, building after building beaten and broken by the bombardment. The crackle and crump of guns and tanks rips through the air.
Look, you can see some of the destruction behind me. You can see, obviously, Israeli armored vehicles, tanks are here, but also you can see up there in the buildings the sound of heavy bombardment. You can hear the sound, outgoing fire.
As night started to fall, Hamas launched mortars towards our position. I asked the lieutenant colonel when he thought the war would end.
My daughter Gali is 8. I hope I'll see her before she's 9, in January.
But this is what we couldn't see from our position: the carnage and death being inflicted elsewhere in Gaza. Israeli airstrikes hitting 2 refugee camps in the central Gaza Strip Sunday, located in the evacuation zone where Israel's military is urging Palestinians to seek refuge, killing at least 55 and injuring 100, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry. This man at the Al-Maghazi camp saying it was like an earthquake. There's nowhere safe in Gaza. In just 4 weeks, almost 10,000 men, women and children have been killed as Israel responds to the attack by Hamas and others, where 1,400 were killed and around 240 taken hostage. Hamas now claiming at least 60 of those hostages have died as a result of Israeli bombing. Our George Stephanopoulos pressing the US Deputy National Security Advisor about it on This Week.
There are some reports from Hamas that several dozen have been killed in the airstrikes. George, we can't verify any of those reports. They're coming directly from Hamas, and we believe they should be taken with a grain of salt.
Well, as you heard from the deputy commander there, he was saying that he thought he might be home for his daughter's birthday. That's in January. I think many people are expecting this is a very long endeavour, and at the moment, with no clear end in sight. Robin? And
Ian, you have been there for the last 4 weeks now. How would you describe the feeling there in that region?
I mean, it's always a complex, difficult region, and the events over the last 4 weeks have really shaken some very old wounds. It really has torn apart a region that in some senses was starting to come together. Here in Israel, people are still grieving. They still feel incredibly raw by the events of October 7th. And of course, the absence of 240 people who were taken hostage by Hamas means that those wounds will not heal. For Israel, this isn't about about revenge necessarily. This is about making the country safe. But on the other side, the bombing has been so heavy. We're talking about almost 10,000 civilians. This is figures, of course, according to the mass-run health ministry. But even if those figures aren't right, these are thousands and thousands of men, women and children who have been killed through no choice and no fault of their own. So on both sides of the divide here, you have a lot of pain, you have a lot of anger, and no way to try and make the two sides come together in any kind of peaceful resolution, which is why at the moment the future, for now, doesn't look that hopeful. Robin?
All right, Ian, thank you so much for your reporting. As always, please stay safe. And Secretary of State Antony Blinken made another high-stakes trip to the region this weekend, trying to ease tensions. Our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, has more on that. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Robin. Yeah, the Secretary of State has been on this real diplomatic dash around the Middle East, trying to contain this conflict and minimize civilian casualties. He's hoping to build support for those humanitarian pauses to try and get more aid into Gaza and more hostages and civilians out. But he is also focused on preventing this war from spreading. In his first visit to the West Bank since the October 7th attacks, he focused on trying to restore calm as violence has been rising there, and also looking ahead to the future of a Palestinian state and whether the Palestinian Authority should play a role in Gaza. Then in Iraq, a visit meant to send a strong message to Iran not to take advantage of this and try and escalate and broaden this conflict. All of this comes as the White House and this administration is facing growing pressure to try and push for a ceasefire. Those calls echoed by passionate protesters here in Washington this weekend, demanding more be done to address this humanitarian crisis. Calls even echoed by some in the president's own party, but the president continues to insist a ceasefire, guys, would only benefit Hamas.
All right, Mary, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.